who are troubled, or at least
who would like to come out
about some of what they have seen. But if you have security clearances out the wazoo, you just can't go on Coast to Coast AM or
right.
Laura Knight Jadachek's internet podcast and spill your guts.
Right.
Because the penalties for violating those security clearances are very severe. And the average person doesn't want to spend the rest of their life in Leavenworth or be, assassinated or have their pension taken away from them in their old age.
Or nowadays, Guantanamo.
Penalty.
Nowadays, they'd put you in Guantanamo.
Yeah, or something like that, or just disappear you, Central American dictatorship style.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be a rare person who would go public, and so I did dig into it more deeply, and I found that there was a paper trail, and I think the long and the short of it is that so much has happened underground, and from what I can see, almost certainly undersea as well.
Mm-hmm.
That when you have large corporations and government agencies throwing around large amounts of personnel, money, and technology over a period of decades, it generates so much paper you simply cannot hide it all. You can't shred it all. You can't classify it all because there's just such a large volume of it. At least some of it is going to filter through the cracks and end up in archives or in government document repositories and so forth, and at least some of it will filter out into the popular culture in magazine articles and in books and in conversations, and people who have been involved in the construction activity or the planning simply because of so many thousands of them. Not all of it can possibly be controlled. A lot
right.
of it can, most of it can, almost all of it can, but not all of it. And so what I've picked up are the crumbs, and quite a few crumbs, and the crumbs in and of themselves tell the tale. And the short tale is that there appears to be a lot going on underground, and it appears very likely there's a lot going on undersea as well. And we're talking James Bond style undersea and underground installations.
Well, let me interject right here, because I'm sure that the listener would be interested to know that the evidence that you present in these books is literally government documents, patent applications or approvals, actual literal paper trail of these types of things that you have gotten much of it by the Freedom of Information.
Really set a lot of my work apart, and it's why my books went to multiple printings and were, actually considered underground bestsellers.
This is not speculation.
No, it's not speculation.
Yeah.
And my books are out of print at the moment, but I probably will reissue them in the next year or two.
Well, let's hope so, because right at this particular point in time, it's looking like we might be seeing one of the reasons behind the construction of these massive underground complexes. Now, and which leads to the question, what have you come across that indicates the reason, the perceived necessity for underground?
I can tell you, both from conversations and from my research, and from reasons that are explicitly discussed in the documents themselves, from conversation with insiders, and drawing conclusions of my own. Some of the reasons, of course, are preparation for possible nuclear war, which has been with us my entire life and still is.
Right.
The possibility of nuclear war. And so in that case, the military-industrial espionage complex wants to burrow underground for command, control, and communication purposes. And so there was a lot of that happened and still does. Preparation for natural catastrophes. Things like apocalyptic scenarios such as massive geological upheaval due to potential shifting of the Earth's axis, and geologists know very well that this has happened more than once in the past, and so they don't know exactly why it happens. At least if they do, they're not saying so publicly. They only know that it has happened, The alignment of the continents has not always been as it is now, and that if there should be geological upheaval, it's actually the case that one of the safest places to be would be in a well-designed underground installation in a competent body of rock. It would be safer than being on the surface. Also, the possibility of the Earth entering a different region of the galaxy, say the solar system coming into a different region of the galaxy. We're always moving along at a very high rate of speed as the galaxy rotates, and the Earth and the cluster of stars that the Earth is part of, and we're actually part of the Pleiadian cluster of stars, themselves move within the galaxy, and so as the galaxy rotates and the Earth moves into a different sector of space, they could run into forms of rogue planetoids, for example, or comets, meteorites, that type of thing, that could impact the Earth and cause problems. There could be massive climate change, and again, it appears something that the climate has been destabilized now, and it's something that's going on with the sun and with the solar system and with its planet.
And they're aware of these things?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes. You could also have disruptions in the physics of the Earth's rotation for a variety of reasons. Some understood, some not understood. These are some of the things that have been mentioned to me, and in that case, for survivability reasons, you would want to have secure underground facilities that you could repair to somewhat in Noah's Ark fashion.
But they're not telling the public, certainly.
No, not really, but it's a case of, as Jesus said, let those who have eyes to see, and those who have ears to hear.
Right.
They're not telling the public exactly, but indirectly they are, in a way, through me, in that I have been permitted to publish books on these titles and magazine articles and go on the Internet and be interviewed by you for podcasts, and also do numerous network radio shows over the last 12, 13 years, and even do some TV interviews. And I haven't suffered. I haven't been sent to Guantanamo or so forth. That indicates that to an extent there is a faction who does want some of this information to come out, and they themselves, I think, feel that their hands are tied. I think by the time, say, you go away to a major university and say you get a PhD in geology or physics or electrical engineering or whatever, one of the scientific or technical disciplines, and you go to work at the highest levels of the military-industrial espionage complex, and you get sucked into the compartmentalized black world of clandestine operations, and then you go away and you start working in underground installations, and you see all kinds of things that Ray Bradbury couldn't imagine in his wildest dreams, and you say, holy moly, what's going on here? This doesn't comport with what I was taught. You see things that are happening that are illegal, unconstitutional, unethical, and massively so, and you thought of yourself as a button-down, cool by the numbers,
regular person,
law-abiding type of person. All of a sudden, what do?
Yeah.
You want to talk, but if you do, you're on your way to Leavenworth or Guantanamo, or maybe you won't live to see another day.
Right.
Maybe you will be kept in that underground installation and never surface again. So what do?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you leak a little bit, and I think that's what's going on, to tell the truth.
So what is the most shocking thing that you have discovered in this research?
Well, from the beginning, I had strong suspicions about undersea bases. From what I was told in 1992 in the middle of the night, it raised questions along those lines, but I couldn't find any documentation. But now I have, and the documentation shows unambiguously. And this is in the open literature, coming right out of China Lake Naval Weapons Station. It's perhaps the most interesting document I have